Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. So, Teamfight Tactics Set 5 Reckoning has just been released. We got everything, we got the champions, we got the new origins, we got the new traits, the synergies, the items, and even the cheat sheet for every new comp available. So, I'm just gonna show you real quick what we have. So we got the traits right here, as you can see. Every trait with a very detailed explanation. We got the types, we got the assassins, brawlers, etc. Then we have the champions. These are the new champions from the 1 cost all the way to the 5 costs right here, which are Darius, Garen, etc. And then we have the new items right here. And then finally we have the cheat sheet, which as you can see shows you all the new comps. So we're going to go through this one by one. I hope you guys are patient. And of course at the end of the video I'll leave a link in the description box below for this site and the cheat sheet itself for you to have, and so you can prepare for the new set 5 Reckoning. So let's start. First of all, there are no more Chosens, so that's gone. So if you were not much of a fan for Chosen, there are no longer any Chosen mechanics. We have the old Teamfight Tactics now, which you have to build the comp from start to finish, and you have to have an idea of what you are building. This is why you need to have an idea of what synergies that you can build. So the first types of origins we have. The first origin is going to be Abomination. When 3 allied champions have died, the monstrosity, being Scion, the Scion passive, will awaken from its grave. The monstrosity gets bonus health and attack damage based on allied abominations unit star level. The monstrosity will also receive a random copy of an item from each of the 3 abomination champions nearest to the grave when combat starts. So basically you have these abomination champions, which you can have up to 5, and the abomination monstrosity will give you 600 health, 60 attack damage, all the way to 3000 health and 300 attack damage. So we have we have the 2 cost Brand, we have the 1 cost Callista, the 3 cost Nunu, and the 4 cost Rise. So these are our abomination champions. And of course you're gonna need an abomination spatula, because we need 5 and there's only 4, and we don't have a chosen mechanic, so that makes sense. And if you have 5 of these, you will have an extremely strong Scion monstrosity, which will attack everyone and will get a copy of 1 item from each of these champions, which has to be nearest to the grave. So the next one is Coven. Coven is the new early comp that you want to have, which is at the start of combat, the champion nearest to the center of your Coven champions is chosen as the Coven leader, gaining 50% bonus AP, and each time a Coven champion casts, 25 of the cost is bestowed upon the Coven leader as mana. So the idea is for you to have these really low cost champions. So we have the 3 cost Morgana, the 1 cost Cassandra, and the 2 cost LeBlanc. And you will have these 3 positions, 1, 2, and then 1 at the front. And in the middle of that triangle, you will position your most valuable unit, your carry, whether it is a ranger or a brawler or an assassin. And that unit will gain 50% AP and will get 25% mana from each cast of these 3 champions. So that's insane. And in case you don't have, you are still at level 3 and you have all these 3, don't worry, the triangle will choose one of the corners, so one of these champions will get the bonus, and that's enough until you get the 4th unit. Next we have Dawnbringer. So Dawnbringers rapidly heal some of their maximum health. For the first time they drop below 50% HP, and when this heal occurs, all allied Dawnbringers gain 10% bonus damage. So this is the new Dark Star mechanic. So if you guys remember, 2 sets ago, I think, or one set ago, we had the Dark Star Shaco and the Dark Star Jin and all the Dark Stars. And whenever a Dark Star champion dies, all the other Dark Stars get bonus stats. And this basically works the same, but we have a heal instead of the death. So we have the legendary unit Garen. The 5 cost Garen, so as you can see, is a Dawnbringer God King. God King is a special trait, we'll talk about it later. Next we have the 1 cost Gragas, the 4 cost Karma, the 1 cost Kha'Zix, the 3 cost Nidalee, the 3 cost Riven, and the 2 cost Soraka. So from 2 to 8, on 8 you get 150% maximum HP, which is insane. Next we have Draconic, which is not too used, but it's pretty nice. So in Hyper Row, Dragon Egg hatch a lot faster. So this is like Draconic is the new fortune mechanic. So this is how this is what you this is the mechanic you use if you wanna spam a bunch of gold, a bunch of items, a bunch of stuff. So let me explain. If you have 3 Draconic units at the end of each player combat, gain a Dragon Egg on your bench. The bigger the egg, the longer it takes to hatch, and the rarer the reward. So you'll get different sizes of eggs, and depending on the size of the egg, it will hatch. It will take more time to hatch, and when it hatches, you will get either loot or you will get other copies of the Draconic champions themselves. So this is going to be a comp that aims to 3-star all the Draconic units and give them extra gold and give them items, which is insane. And if you have 5 of these, which is very hard to have because the 5th Draconic is Heimerdinger, which is a 5 cost, so it's gonna be hard to aim for a Heimerdinger. But once you have a Heimerdinger, the Dragon Eggs are golden, and golden eggs hatch into even rarer loot. So as I said, this is like the legendary like fortune comp that you want to use if you want to, maybe if you get it early, or maybe if you are like if you want to have like a YouTube video. This is what you need to do. You need to get 5 of these and see what kind of eggs you get, what kind of dragon eggs, and what kind of golden dragon eggs you get, and what kind of items they hatch out of. And that's pretty cool. So the next one is Dragon Slayer. Dragon Slayers gain bonus ability power after the first allied Dragon Slayer scores a takedown on an enemy with at least 1,400 maximum health, and all allies gain additional ability power for the rest of the round. So if you have 2 Dragon Slayers, 30% AP for Dragon Slayers and 20% for the team. If you have 4 Dragon Slayers, 60% AP and 40% goes for the team. So 60 for the Dragon Slayers and 40 for the team. This mechanic is kind of bland, to be honest, because you kind of have to stack one of these Dragon Slayers. Oh, I forgot to tell you which are the Draconic units. I'm sorry. See, so we have 3-star Ash, 5-star Heimerdinger, 2-cost Set. So Set is no longer a 5-cost. 1-cost Udyr, and 3-cost Zyra. Okay, back to Dragon Slayers. So for Dragon Slayers, we have Diana, the 4-cost. We have Dragon Slayer Mordekaiser, 4-cost. We have the Dragon Slayer Pantheon, 3-cost, and the Dragon Slayer Trundle, 2-cost. So if you have 2 of these, you get 30. 4 of these, you get 60. As I said, this is kind of underwhelming because you need to stack one of these, and the condition to have all these bonuses is for you to kill an enemy with 1,400 maximum HP. So that's kind of iffy. Like imagine like investing everything in this, and then we don't find like the right enemy at the right time, or maybe you kill like a couple of enemies that don't have this much HP. So that's kind of underwhelming. This needs something, not something extra in my opinion. The next origin is going to be Eternal, which is specific to Kindred. It's a very cool trait. So Wolf separates from Lamb to become a second champion. Wolf does not count towards your unit cap and receives all of Lamb's stats and bonuses. So that's insane. So like if you have like 9 units and your 9th unit is Kindred, when the combat starts, Kindred will be split into 2 champions. The first champion is going to be Lamb, and the second champion is going to be Wolf. And Lamb will have that ability that like prevents your allies from dying, and Wolf will have an ability to like he will attack a lot, and then he will return to Lamb and will heal her for a bunch, which is insane. So if you have 9 units, when the combat starts, this becomes your 10th unit, becomes 2 more units, which is insane. Also, the wolf gets his own stats from Lamb and gets his own items. So yeah, the next one is the Forgotten trait, which is our 9th trait. So if you can start building Forgotten from the start of the game till the end of the game, and at the end of the game you will get 110 attack damage and ability power. Forgotten champions have bonus attack damage and ability power. Each shadow item held by a Forgotten champion increases these bonuses by 10% on all Forgotten champions, stacking up to 4 times. So if you have 4 shadow items and we got a Forgotten comp, all of your units would get a 40% increase on all these bonuses right here, the ones that you can see. So we'll talk about the shadow items in a bit. So shadow items are these new variety of items, and they are basically a double-edged sword. So the item does something good, but it comes with a cost. Like it does something bad, like let's say it gives you attack speed, but it takes away from your HP like 1 tick every second or something like that. So the Forgotten Champions are gonna be the 4-cost Raven, which is back, the 2-cost Hecarim, the 3-cost Katarina, the 4-cost Rise, the 2-cost Thresh, the 1-cost Vayne, the 5-cost Viego, which is a new addition, the 2-cost Victor, and the 1-cost Warwick. Next one is Hellion, which I've been saying Helion for some reason. I thought of it like Helios, and for some reason I was just the Helion, but apparently it's Hellion, like from hell. And this is the Yordle comp, and it ends with Teemo. And anything that ends with Teemo, you know it's insane. Also, Teemo has a very, very cool trait, which is called Cruel, which is the middle trait that you can see. And his kit is insane. We'll talk about it in a bit. So for Hellion champions, it's gonna be like the Yordle champions right here. And Hellion champions gain attack speed. Whenever a Hellion dies, a double Hellion of the same type with 1 less star and no items will leave from the Hellion portal and join the fight. So basically, you have these Yordles who will start fighting. They will gain a lot of attack speed. And when one of the Yordles die, a portal will open, the Hellion portal, and a double Hellion, like a doppelganger from that unit, will come out of the portal and start fighting. And that double Hellion will be like 1 less star and no items. So basically, like a unit that fights for an extra unit that fights whenever one of these Yordles die. And yeah, that's cool. The next one is Ironclad, which is pretty self-explanatory. It's Ironclad, they gain armor. This is your new front line, especially Rel. Rel is gonna be super OP. So if you have 2 of these, let's say Vanguards or Ironclad, you will get 40 armor. If you have 3, you get 100 armor. And they're gonna be the 4-cost Jax, the 2-cost Nautilus, and the 4-cost Rel. Next we have Nightbringer. So Nightbringer is the like opposite of Dawnbringer, and these 2 comps end with one of the God King legendary champions. This one ends with God King Darius, super OP, or Garen. I'm sorry. And this one right here, Nightbringer, ends with the God King Darius, as you can see. So for the Nightbringer champions, these ones have a bit of a different mechanic. So Nightbringers gain a shield for 8 seconds equal to a % of their maximum HP the first time they drop below 50%. So the other ones heal, and these ones gain shield. When this occurs, that Nightbringer gains bonus damage. And as you can see, it stacks as the more Nightbringers you have. We have the Nightbringer Aphelios, which is a 4-cost, the 5-cost Darius, the 4-cost Diana, the 3-cost Lee Sin, the 3-cost Morgana, the 2-cost Sejuani, the 1-cost Vladimir, and the 3-cost Yasuo. So next are the Redeemed. So Redeemed have increased armor, magic resist, and ability power. When they die, their best bonus split among remaining redeemed abilities. Also, this is one of the Dark Star mechanic imitation. Whenever a redeemed champion dies, he gives a bunch of his stats split between all the other redeemed champions that you're running. So you want your front line to die, and then your mid line to die, and then finally your Kale at the back, which is a 5-cost, will be super strong, or maybe your Vel'Koz, which is a 4-cost. So the redeemed champions are going to be redeemed Aatrox, who's a 1-cost, the redeemed Kale, who's a 5-cost, the redeemed Leona, which is a 1-cost, redeemed Lux, 3-cost, redeemed Rel, 4-cost, and redeemed Syndra, 4-cost, and then we see redeemed Varus is back, 2-cost, and the redeemed Vel'Koz, 4-cost. Next are the Revenant champions. So Revenants revive after their first death each combat. Once revived, they take and deal 30% increased damage. So the Revenant champions are gonna be Ivern, the 4-cost Revenant, Nocturne, 3-cost Revenant, and Volibear, the 5-cost Revenant, one of the strongest units out there as in terms of front line. And yeah, like late game, you can always consider having these two, like not Nocturne, Nocturne is an assassin, Ivern or and Volibear as your front line. And whenever they die, they will revive again. Actually, it's Like the name Revenant is a French word which means coming back, literally. So in case you guys did not know, it's pronounced revenant. So revenant means coming back, literally. So yeah, these units will die and come back again with 30% increased damage, and they take 30% increase, like 30% more damage. Next are the last origin is going to be Verdant. So we have the Verdant 3-cost Ash, the Verdant 5-cost Kale, and the Verdant 4-cost Derek. So these are basically a walking QSS. So it prevents CC basically. So champions that start combat adjacent to at least one Verdant ally are immune to crowd control for a duration. So for 5 seconds or for 8 seconds. So basically you put Derek at the front to prevent CC for your front line, and you put Ash at the back to prevent CC for your back line. And if you have like Kale, of course, you can put her to prevent CC for everyone. And yeah, it's a pretty OP mechanic. Basically, we have QSS made into champions. Next, we have the types. So we got the basic like Assassin, Brawlers. Assassins are the same. If they at the start of combat, Assassin leap the enemy backline, blah blah blah. We know this. And the Assassins are going to be 4-cost Diana, 3-cost Katarina, 1-cost Kha'Zix, 2-cost LeBlanc, 3-cost Nocturne, and the 5-cost Viego, which is the new legendary champion. So this works basically the same. You get a bunch of crit damage, crit chance, and that's it. And Brawlers, of course, they gain HP, but they no longer gain attack damage, since we have some new tools for that. So the Brawlers are going to be 1-cost Gragas, 3-cost Nunu, 2-cost Set, 5-cost Volibear. It's going to be very beefy, and 1-cost Warwick. Next is the Caretaker type, which is specific to Heimerdinger. So, Caretaker is deployed with a baby dragon that can be placed anywhere on the battlefield. Baby dragons gain 100% of their handler's attack speed and restore 50 mana to their Caretaker upon death. So basically, you spawn a unit, which is a baby dragon, that will attack on your behalf as you're attacking as well. And whenever this baby dragon dies, it gives 50 mana to the Caretaker, which is Heimerdinger. Next types are the Cavalier, and so the Cavaliers charge quickly towards their target whenever they move. Cavaliers take reduced damage at the start of combat, and after charge this effect is doubled for 4 seconds. So these basically are the other type of the front lines, and these Cavaliers were like when the combat starts and when you lock onto a target, the Cavalier, instead of walking there, they will dash, and when they dash or charge, they will gain a doubled stat, which is like 30% damage reduction, or 40% damage reduction, or 50% damage reduction, which is insane. Next, we have the very cool Cruel type for Teemo, our legendary 5-cost unit. Oh, excuse me, I didn't tell you about the units. So for the Cavaliers, we have Cavalier Hecarim, which is a 2-cost, Cavalier Kled, 1-cost, Cavalier Well, 4-cost, and Cavalier Sejuani, 2-cost. So back to Teemo. Cruel champions are purchased with little legend health instead of gold. So basically, if you see Teemo, you will not buy him with gold. You can buy him with your own HP. You have to pay 6 HP to buy Teemo from the shop, which is insane. But on the upside, they can be sold for gold, but not health. So you can like buy Teemo for your HP and make 5 gold back by selling him, which sometimes can be the difference between life and death. That extra gold. And yeah, Teemo himself is very strong. He spawns a bunch of mushrooms all around the map, especially near like units with high attack speed. Okay, next, God King are these 2 champions, which are Garen and Darius. So if you have exactly 1 God King, they deal 30% bonus damage to enemies who have at least one of their rival traits. So the idea is for you to scout, like during the game, you have to scout and see what other people are building. If you see a lot of people building Nightbringer, or Forgotten comps, or Coven comps, or Hellion comps, or Dragon Slayer comps, you go for the Garen route, and you build yourself this right here. This is for Garen, right? Yeah. You build yourself a Dawnbringer comp with these champions, because Dawnbringer units, and Garen especially, will deal 30% extra damage for all of these traits: Dragon Slayer, Abomination, Revenant, And if people are running the redeemed Dawnbringer, Verdant, Draconic, or Ironclad, you go for the Darius tree, which is the Nightbringer, which is right here. And Darius will gain a bunch of extra stats and will deal more damage to all of those. So yeah, that's pretty dope. It's all about countering other comps. Next we have Invoker. All allies gain extra mana from their basic attacks, 4 mana, 6 mana. And the invokers are gonna be 4-cost Ivor, 4-cost Karma, 2-cost Syndra, and 5-cost Teemu. So Teemu is gonna be gaining a lot of mana. Next we have the Knight. All allies block a flat amount of damage from all sources. So basically the Tahm-Kench passive or skill, I guess, which will be innate in these champions, and they're gonna be Leona, 1-cost, Nautilus, 2-cost, Poppy, 1-cost, Tarek, 4-cost, and Thresh, 2-cost. So as you can see, they're all tanks, and they will all be blocking damage. Next one is Legionnaire. So Legionnaires gain bonus attack speed, and their first attack after casting a spell heals them for 50% of the damage dealt. So the attack speed stacks from 25% to all the way to 120% attack speed. And the Legionnaire champions are going to be the Aatrox 1-cost, the 4-cost Raven, which is going to be strong, super strong, the 1-cost Kalista, which fell off from last set, so no longer we have like the overwhelming Kalista at the back. Next we have the 5-cost Gale, the 4-cost Mordekaiser, the 3-cost Riven, and the 3-cost Yasuo. Next we have Mystics, which are basically the same. All allies gain magic resist. We all know this. We have Kindred, the 5-cost Mystic, Lulu, the 3-cost Mystic, Lux, the 3-cost Mystic, Morgana, the 3-cost Mystic, and finally Rise, the 4-cost Mystic. Next we have Rangers. So Rangers are back. They basically gain attack speed over a duration of time. After 4 seconds, Rangers gain attack speed for 4 seconds. They regain this bonus every 4 seconds thereafter. And the attack speed varies from 2 to 3, between 60% and 120%. And Rangers are going to be Aphelios, 4-star, not 4-star, 4-cost, Ash, 3-cost, Kindred, 5-cost, Varus, 2-cost, and Vayne, 1-cost. I'm wondering if this is supposed to be like another, there should be another like addition, which should be like 5 Rangers. I think there should be one here. Next we have Renewer. Renewer heals for % of their maximum health each second. If they're full health, they restore mana instead. So these champions are going to be a very strong front line. So as you can see, if you got 2 or 4, you get 5% health per second, or 5% mana, and then it becomes 8%. So these Renewer champions are going to be the 5-cost Hammerdinger, the 4-cost Ivor, the 1-cost Lissandra, the 2-cost Soraka, and the 1-cost Vladimir. So not too strong. We have Ivern as a good frontliner, and then we have the OP Heimerdinger, which will be spawning a bunch of baby dragons who will do the damage for him, which is insane, and he will keep getting all the extra mana from the baby dragons and the Renewer thingy, as long as he has HP. Next we have Skirmisher. So Skirmishers gain a shield at the start of combat and gain attack damage each second. So they are basically keepers with a bunch of attack damage. And the Skirmishers are going to be the 4-cost Jax, 2-cost Kennen. So Kennen is back as a keeper. 3-cost Lee Sin. I wonder if Lee Sin is still gonna do the same thing as the past Lee Sin. I doubt it, but we'll see. 3-cost Nidalee, 3-cost Pantheon, 2-cost Rondo, and 1-cost Udyr, and 5-cost Viego. Next are the Spellweavers. Spellweavers have increased ability power and get bonus ability power anytime a champion uses an ability, stacking up to 10 times. So 20 ability power, 2 bonus ability power, 50 ability power, 5 bonus ability power. So this is a new mage comp. We have the 2-cost Brand, the 4-cost Vel'Koz, the 2-cost Victor, the 1-cost Ziggs, and the 3-cost Dyra. So next we got our new champions. So for the 1-cost we got our redeemed Legionnaire Aatrox. Aatrox strikes his target, excuse me, dealing 8% of his attack damage and heals himself 4% of his maximum health. Next is the 1-cost Gragas, who is a Dawnbringer brawler. so he's gonna be a frontliner. Gragas rings from his cask, granting his damage reduction for 4 seconds and causing his next basic attack to deal bonus magic damage. Okay, pretty basic. Next is the 1-cost Callista, who is an Abomination Legionnaire. Callista hurls a spear toward the farthest enemy, dealing a % of her attack damage plus bonus physical damage to the first enemy it hits. If this kills the target, the spear continues and will deal the overkill damage to the next target it hits. So that's pretty insane. So this is like a needle spear, but if the spear kills the target, it will go through the target and go up to the next target. So there could be some pretty nice possibilities with this. Next is Kha'Zix, who is a Dawnbringer assassin. Kha'Zix slashes the nearest enemy, dealing magic damage. If the enemy has no adjacent allies, the damage is increased. So basically, it's a basic Kha'Zix. Also, he's gonna be very OP as a 1-cost assassin, especially if you 3-star him. Next is Kled, who is a Hellion Cavalier, who is like a cool frontliner or a strong frontliner. So Kled enters combat on Skarl, granting him a shield for 80% of his maximum health. When the shield is broken, he dismounts, briefly becoming untargetable and granting him attack speed and causing every 4th attack to deal 200% of his attack damage. Okay, this could be broken. Next is Leona, who is a redeemed knight. Leona raises her shield, reducing all incoming damage for 4 seconds. So basically, the old Leona is back. Next is Lissandra, who is a Coven Renewer. Lissandra, so a Coven Renewer, so basically Coven, you have a triangle. In the middle of the triangle, that unit will gain a bunch of stats from all the Covens. And Renewer, she will keep stacking mana. So as you can see, just from reading this again and again, I am already memorizing all the new traits. So Lissandra hurls a dagger forward, so we know this. To the enemy with the highest attack damage, deal magic damage to the first target hits. After hitting its initial target or at its final destination, the dagger explodes, dealing magic damage to the nearby targets. All enemies hit by this spell have their attack damage reduced by 40% for 4 seconds. Next is Poppy, who is a Hellion Knight. Poppy throws her buckler at the farthest enemy, dealing magic damage. The buckler then bounces back, granting Poppy a shield that blocks damage. I remember when Poppy became super broken like 2 sets ago, when people would 3-star her, would give her a bunch of like tanky items and 1 crit AP item, and that freaking buckler would kill everybody and every single unit like during all the early stages. So yeah, I think this is why they made her a 1-cost, and I really hope she's not that OP. Next is Udyr, who is a Draconic Skirmisher. Udyr swaps between Turtle and Tiger stance with each cast, gaining the following benefits. Turtle gains a shield for 4 seconds, Tiger strikes 3 times quickly, and his next basic attack for 4% of his attack damage. Okay? Next is Vayne, who is a Forgotten Ranger. Vayne's attacks apply Silver Bolt. The third stack, okay, so this is a basic Vayne. You get 3 stacks on the same target, and the third stack does bonus true damage. Next is Vladimir, who is a Nightbringer Renewer. Vladimir deals magic damage to the target and heals himself. Okay. Next is Warwick, who is a Forgotten Brawler. Warwick leaps to the enemy with the lowest % health, stunning them and dealing magic damage and healing himself for 100% of the damage over 2 seconds. If this ability kills the target, Warwick will instantly cast again. Next is Ziggs, who is a Hellion Spellweaver. Ziggs throws an arcane bomb at his target, dealing magic damage. Okay, pretty basic. So this is the old Ziggs. Next is Brand. So these are gonna be the 2-cost champions. Next is Brand, who is an Abomination Spellweaver. Brand launches a ball of fire at the nearest non-seared enemy, searing them for magic damage over 12 seconds. Seared enemies have reduced magic resist. Alright, next is the Forgotten Cavalier Hecarim. Hecarim creates an aura around himself for 3 seconds. Each enemy within takes magic damage, and Hecarim heals himself over the duration. Alright, so this is the old Hecarim. Next is Kennen, who is a Hellion Skirmisher. So his ability is Flame Rush. Kennen engulfs himself in flame, dashing behind his target. Then to the farthest enemy he possesses through are zapped, dealing magic damage and stunning them. Alright. Next is the 2-cost Nautilus, who is an Ironclad Knight. Nautilus erupts the ground beneath his target, knocking them up and stunning them and dealing magic damage. Enemies adjacent to the target receive half this effect. Alright. Next is Sejuani, who is a Nightbringer Cavalier. So Sejuani signals Bristle to charge. Bristle is the giant like pig, dealing magic damage and stunning the target for 4 seconds. Then she then gains frost armor, granting her armor and magic resist. Alright, next is the 2-cost Set. So Set is no longer a 5-cost. It's gonna be a draconic brawler. Set pulls back for a punch, shredding armor for 10 seconds and dealing a % of his attack damage as physical damage to all enemies in the area. So he no longer has the like the gigantic jump. Next is Soraka, who is a Dawnbringer Renewer. Soraka calms the area around the enemy with the highest current % mana, dealing magic damage to all enemies hit and increasing the cost of their next ability. Alright, so she's a backline disturber. Next is the redeemed Invoker Syndra. Syndra grabs the nearest enemy and flings them towards the farthest enemy, dealing magic damage to all nearby enemies upon impact and stunning the thrown target. Okay, so that's a very cool disruption mechanic. Next is Trundle, who is a Dragon Slayer skirmisher. Trundle drains the strength of his current target, stealing a % of their health, armor, magic resist, and attack damage for 6 seconds. Okay. Next is the redeemed Ranger Varus. Varus fires a hail of arrows around his target, dealing a % of his attack damage as physical damage. Varus and allies within the area are blessed, causing them to deal bonus magic damage with their attacks for 6 seconds. Next is the Forgotten Spellweaver Victor. So Victor blasts his target, dealing magic damage to the nearest enemy and granting a shield to the ally nearest to the enemy for 3 seconds. Next we got the 3-cost champions. So first we have the Verdant Draconic Ranger Ashe. So she's a triple threat. Ashe fires an arrow at the furthest enemy, dealing magic damage to the first enemy hit and stunning them. So it's basic Ashe. If the arrow travels at least 5 hexes, the stun duration is doubled. Enemies within 1 hex receive 50% of this effect. Okay, pretty cool. Next is Katarina. So Katarina is still here. She's a Forgotten Assassin. Katarina throws a dagger at the farthest enemy, dealing magic damage. When the dagger lands near the target, Katarina teleports to it and immediately launches 3 additional daggers at the nearest enemy that each deal magic damage. Okay, this could be bad. This could be really, really bad news. Next is Lee Sin. Okay, let's check out if Lee Sin has changed. Who is a Nightbringer skirmisher. Lee Sin slams the ground, dealing magic damage to nearby enemies and slowing their attack speed by 50% for first seconds. So no longer the Lee Sin that kicks all your favorite units or your strongest units out of the board. It's basically a bland, very bland, very vanilla Lee Sin. Okay, I'm okay with that. Next is the Hellion Mystic Lulu. Lulu casts an enchantment on the unit nearest to her. If this enchants an ally, they gain bonus attack speed for 4 seconds. If this enchants an enemy, they are transformed into a docile feline, stunning them and causing them to take 20% increased damage. So this is the old Lulu that can transform a very OP enemy, such as like a super strong Kale or a super strong Darius, into a little what did it call it? A docile feline, which can be killed very easily. Next is the 3-cost Lux, which is a redeemed mystic. Lux launches her wand towards her farthest enemy, which returns her to her shortly after reaching them. Lux and each ally touched by the wand are shielded for 10 seconds. Additionally, Lux empowers her next basic attack to deal additional magic damage. So basically a shield that travels all the way to the end of the board and comes back to you, shielding everyone in the way and giving her extra attack. Morgana, who's a Nightbringer Comforting Mystic. Morgana fires chains to nearby enemies, dealing magic damage. After 3 seconds, all chained enemies are dealt an additional magic damage and stunned. So basically, you wanna make her survive a fight. So maybe give her a GA or a bunch of HP, so that her ability is fully launched and people are stunned, or units are stunned, not people. Next is the Dawnbringer Skirmisher Nidalee. Nidalee transforms into a cougar, leaping behind her target. While in cougar form, Nidalee's attack range is reduced to 1 hex. She gains 45% dodge chance, so that's new. And whenever she dodges, her next attack deals bonus magic damage. Okay. Next is the Revenant Assassin Nocturne. So every third attack, Nocturne slashes all adjacent enemies for 125% of his attack damage and heal himself for a % of the damage dealt. If only one target is hit, Nocturne increases attack speed for 3 seconds. So basically, the short version of this is going to leap behind the enemies. He's going to attack one of the weakest champions, going to attack a lot, and then he's gonna die. And because he's a Revenant, he's gonna revive and he's gonna attack again. That's how it's gonna work, and it's gonna be worth 3-starring because I think it's gonna be very OP in terms of assassins. Next we have the Abomination Brawler Nunu. Willem bites his target, dealing magic damage. If Willem target has less health than he does before he dies, it bites, it deals an additional 50% damage and becomes true damage. Okay? So at least he doesn't recover HP, which is good. Next is the 3-cost Pantheon, who is a Dragon Slayer skirmisher. So Pantheon braces his shields, reducing all incoming damage for 4 seconds and dealing a percent of his attack damage in the area in front of him over the duration. Next we have the Dawnbringer Legionnaire Riven. Riven empowers her blade, stunning nearby enemies for 1.5 seconds while dealing magic damage for the next 8 seconds. She gains bonus attack damage. So basically the old Riven, which can be very strong if you put everything on her. Next is the Yasuo Nightbringer Legionnaire. So Yasuo strikes his target, dealing magic damage. He then empowers his blade, gaining bonus, stacking bonus true damage on hit for the rest of combat. Alright, very cool. Next is the Draconic Spellweaver Zyra. Zyra sends a surge of vines towards the farthest enemy. Enemy hit by the vines are dealt magic damage and stunned. Pretty cool. Next we have the 4-cost champions. So first 4-cost champion is going to be Aphelios, who is a Nightbringer Ranger. So Aphelios launches a number of attacks simultaneously, one at his target and the rest out the enemies nearest to them, dealing a percent of his attack damage plus bonus physical damage to each. Next is the Dragon Slayer Nightbringer Assassin Diana. Diana calls forth Moonlight, drawing in all nearby enemies, dealing magic damage and stunning them. So we have a bunch of CC in this set, a lot of it. Next is the Forgotten Legionnaire 4-cost Draven. Draven starts spinning an axe, empowering his next basic attack to deal a percent of his attack damage plus bonus physical damage. It will return to his location after striking the target, and if Draven catches it, it will refresh the buff. Draven can spin up to 2 axes at the same time. Alright, next is the 4-cost Ivern. So Ivern is a Revenant Invoker Renewer. Ivern summons his sentinel friend Daisy to fight with him, gifting her 100% of his ability power. Daisy immediately casts Shockwave upon arrival. If Daisy is already summoned, Ivern increases her ability power and commands her to cast Shockwave again. Okay, so that's pretty OP. Next is the Ironclad Skirmisher Jax. This is your front line. Jax slams his target for a percent of his attack damage and gains 33% stacking attack speed for the remainder of combat. Jax leaps to the nearest enemy if no target is in his attack range. So okay, very nice. We have an empowered attack and we have a leap integrated into Jax. Okay, next is the 4-cost Dawnbringer Invoker Karma. So Karma fires a burst of energy towards a random enemy location that detonates upon impact, dealing magic damage to adjacent enemies and reducing Karma's maximum mana down to a maximum of 10. Karma empowers every third cast, causing it to launch 3 bursts of energy towards different targets instead of 1. So basically this is the new Nico, I guess, but with a slightly different mechanic. Next we have the 4-cost Mordekaiser, who is a Dragon Slayer Legionnaire. Mordekaiser shields himself for 50% of his maximum health for 5 seconds, empowering his mace to deal bonus magic damage and gain 1 hex of range for the same duration. Next we have Rel, who is a redeemed Ironclad Cavalier 4-cost. Rel leaps into the air, creating a tether between herself and her farthest ally. When she lands to the tether is broken, granting all allies near and between them a shield for 4 seconds and stunning all enemies in the same area. So she's going to be a must-have as a front line. So you have to have Rel as the Ironclad and the other Ironclad front line. I forgot which one it was. I think it was Jax. Yeah, it's Jax. So these two are a must-have. Next is Rise, who is a Forgotten Abomination Mystic. Rise imprisons the nearest enemy, dealing magic damage and stunning them. His next cast is then empowered to spread from his target, applying the same damage and stun to all enemies. Even the stun is replicated in a large area around the target. Very cool. Next is the Verdant Knight Tarek. All allies in a large area around Tarek are healed and gain armor for 5 seconds. Alright. Next is Vel'Koz, who is a redeemed Spellweaver. This is one of the strongest mages we have right now. Vel'Koz channels a ray of energy towards the enemy nearest to the center of the battlefield over 3 seconds, dealing magic damage over the duration. And the beam widens as Vel'Koz channels, and he will turn if there are no enemies in the area. So yeah, we have Vel'Koz back, and if you stack him, he's gonna do 1 beam and delete a bunch of people if he is strong enough. Next we have our 5 costs, which there are many of. So the new 5 costs are gonna be Darius, Garen, Heimerdinger, Kayle, Kindred, Teemo, and finally Viego and Volibear. So we'll start with the God Kings. So the first God King and the Nightbringer, Darius. Darius transforms into a God Wolf, becoming unstoppable as he lunges towards a nearby enemy. God Wolves join him in his hunt, each targeting their own prey. Enemies bitten by a God Wolf are dealt a % of Darius' attack power as physical damage and have their armor reduced by 6% for 6 seconds. After biting his prey, Darius' next few attacks restore 10% of his maximum health. So these are legendary words. I cannot even describe it, how OP this is. Let's see what Garen does. Garen is a Dawnbringer God King. So Garen calls down a sword that strikes a large area around his target, dealing a % of each target's maximum health in magic damage and reducing their magic resist by 60% for 6 seconds. Garen gains a shield equal to 50% of his maximum health for seconds. Okay, yeah, these two are broken. I bet a lot of people are gonna be going for, like, if you can, always go for a Dawnbringer comp, like 9 Dawnbringers or 9 Nightbringers. I think it's gonna be super worth it, and they're gonna be super strong on their own. Because like Dawnbringers gain a shield when they hit like 50% HP, and Nightbringers gain like a spell vamp, like they recover HP when they hit 50%. So these two stats are gonna be super broken, especially when you add the 9th unit, which is gonna be Darius or Garen, which will make your comp insanely OP. Kind of like Cultist. When you hit the 9th Cultist, you got Galio, and it's basically GG. Next is Heimerdinger, the 5 cost Draconic Renewer Caretaker. Heimerdinger empowers his baby dragon, causing its next attack to be overcharged, launching 3 fireballs across the battlefield, dealing magic damage while burning enemies for 3 of their maximum health as true damage over 6 seconds, and reducing healing by 50% for the duration. If Heimerdinger does not have a turret, this spell will create one instead. Alright? Next is the 5 cost Kayle, who is a redeemed Verdant Legionnaire. Kayle ascends throughout the fight, gaining additional bonuses. First attacks deal a % of Kayle's attack damage as bonus true damage. Second, attacks explode around the target, dealing her attack damage and bonus true damage to adjacent enemies. Third, every 7th attack grants Kayle damage immunity for 1 second. Fourth, hits cause swords to rain down around the target, dealing magic damage. They took Kayle, they took like the broken Kayle from set 4.5, and they made her a god unit. Holy moly. So yeah, this is a super OP addition as well. Man, if you hit any of these 5 costs, I can see like how OP your comp becomes. Damn. Alright, I can see all of this being nerfed really soon. In my opinion, it's too strong. Next is the Eternal Mystic Ranger Kindred. So if you guys did not know, Kindred splits into 2 units and becomes Lamb and Wolf. So Lamb creates a zone around herself that prevents allies from within from dying. So the basic Kindred ult. Then, while Lamb's respite is active, Wolf is invulnerable. Wolf's ability, Wolf returns to Lamb, healing them both, and then launches himself at the lowest health enemy, dealing magic damage. Next we have Teemo, the troll champion. Is going to be a Hellion Cruel Invoker. Teemo scatters Infernal Souls around a random enemy. When an enemy nears an Infernal Soul, or after 3 seconds, it explodes, dealing magic damage to the nearby enemies and reducing their attack speed. So yeah, it's gonna be shrooms, a lot of shrooms, a bunch of shrooms everywhere. And like I said before, Teemo is bought with your HP. You have to pay 6 HP to buy Teemo from the shop, and not 5 gold. You can actually sell him for 5 gold, but you can only buy him for 6 HP. Next is Viego. Viego, Forgotten Skirmisher Assassin, is gonna attempt to corrupt the soul of his target for 5 seconds, stunning them and dealing them magic damage each second, increased by 100% each second. Viego will be interrupted if he is stunned. If his victims die, they are resurrected at full health to fight for him. Oh, okay. Okay, that's insane, and he's an assassin. but lose 8% of their maximum health per second. Diego's allies prefer to not target Diego's victims while they're being corrupted, and corrupted enemies benefit from your team's traits rather than their original owner's traits. Holy moly. Okay, this is strong. This is really strong. Let's see what Volibear does. Volibear is a revenant brawler, so he's gonna have a lot of HP, and when he dies, he will revive again. So Volibear leaps towards his target, then slams the ground in a large area around him, removing any shields and dealing magic damage and knocking up and stunning enemies. So all of these 5 costs are insanely OP, and then Volibear comes and it's pretty normal, pretty standard. I'm disappointed in this. Alright, next are gonna be the new items, which are gonna be these items that have been changed in set 5. So the first item that has been changed is Archangel Staffs. So you need a tier and a rod. Each time the wearer casts their spell, they gain ability power equal to 30% of their maximum mana. So that's new. Next is the Bloodthirster. So the first time the wearer would fall below 40% health, they gain a shield equal to 40% max health for 5 seconds. Next is Frozen Heart, which has been changed to reduce the attack speed of enemies within 2 hexes by 25%. Each Frozen Heart a champion carries beyond this first effect increases the radius of this effect. So you want to have like 2 Frozen Hearts or 3 Frozen Hearts to have like the entire or like 80% of the field with a reduced attack speed. Next is Hand of Justice. At the beginning of each planning phase, the wearer gains one of the following traits: 40% plus 40 attack damage and ability power, or basic attack and spell heal for 40% damage dealt. So it has been changed, obviously. Next is the Rapid Fire Cannon. So RFC no longer gives you infinite range. Now the holder gains plus 1 hex attack range, and their basic attacks can't miss. So this has been nerfed a lot. So 1 hex is not too much. I don't think it is worth it. It's worth like building this item anymore. Next is Redemption. The wearer radiates an aura, so it is no longer a like a heal item. It's now an aura item. To allies within 1 hex, healing them for 30% of their missing health every 5 seconds. Allies affected by the aura take 40% reduced damage from area of effect attacks. Next is Titan's Resolve. When the wearer takes damage or inflicts a critical hit, they gain 2% stacked attack damage, and ability power stacks up to 25 times, at which point the wearer gains 25 magic resist and increases in size. So I'm pretty sure this is the same, but I guess they changed the stats a little bit. Next is Zephyr. So a huge change about Zephyr. Now it is totally worth building Zephyr into your comp because it ignores CC now. As you can see, unique. When combat begins, the wearer summons a whirlwind on the opposite side of the arena that removes the closest enemy from combat for 5 seconds and ignores CC immunity. So yeah, now you can build your Zephyr and you don't have to worry about any QSS. Next are the shadow items, not show items. So shadow items are the new items made specifically for Forgotten comps. So as you guys know, Forgotten comps benefit from shadow items. Let me show you real quick. So let's go back to Forgotten, and there it is. Forgotten champions have bonus attack damage and ability power. Each shadow item held by a Forgotten champion increases these bonuses by 10% on all Forgotten champions, stacking up to 4 times. So if you have 4 Forgotten items on your 9 units or are Forgotten, you will get basically 40% increased stats from everything over here. So that's insane. And for why they are called shadow items, it's because they are a double-edged sword. So shadow items deal like they give you a benefit, but they come with a cost. So basically, we'll go through them one by one. So we have the Archdemon's Staff. Each time the holder casts their spell, they gain maximum health equal to 250% of their maximum mana. The holder then heals for the maximum health that was gained from that spell cast. Next is the Chalice of Malice. When combat begins, all allies within 1 hex in the same row gain 50% power for the rest of combat. The wearer loses 20 spell power. So there's the cost right there. Next is the Cursed Death Blade. Contributing to a kill grants plus 15 attack damage for the remainder of combat. This effect can stack any number of times starting at 3 stacks. The wearer receives a penalty of minus 25% max health, so that's the cost. Next is the Cursed Hex Tech Gunblade. The holder spells heal the nearest ally with missing health for 50% of the damage dealt. This heal cannot affect the holder, so that's the cost right there. So the holder heals other people but cannot be healed himself. Next is the Cursed Infinity Edge. Grants 75% critical strike chance, including components. Each point of critical strike chance above 100% becomes +1 critical strike damage. So basically you gain a bunch of crits. Each time they wear crits, they deal 5% of their maximum HP to themselves as true damage. So unique only one per champion. So the guy will do a bunch of crit, but he will crit himself as well, and that's pretty bad. Next are the Cursed Spear of Chosen. The holder basic attacks restores an additional +14 mana on hit. The holder deals 25% less damage. Next is the Cursed Thieves Gloves. At the beginning of each planning phase, the wearer equips 2 temporary items. These items are always full shadow items. Consumes 3 item slots, so this takes 3 item slots. Next is the Dark Dragon's Claw. The wearer cannot take more than 100 damage from a single instant of magic damage. Next is the Dark Shroud of Stillness. When combat begins, shoots a beam straight ahead and behind them that decays after enemies and allies' first spell cast, increasing their maximum mana to 50%, unique only one per champion. Next is the Evil Gargoyle Stoneplate. Every 2 seconds the wearer heals themselves for 70 for each unit targeting them. Evil Giant Slayer. The holder instantly executes enemies they damage who are below 10% in health. Okay, that's new and that's OP. If the target has more than 1,750 maximum health, the execute threshold is increased to 25% health. Evil Quicksilver. The wearer is immune to craft control but has 25% less max health. Evil Static Shift. Every other basic attack from the wearer unleashes a chain of lightning dealing 65 magic damage to 4 enemies. The lightning can critically strike, dealing bonus damage and reducing the target's magic resist by 60% for 6 seconds. The wearer receives a penalty of 50% attack damage. Next is the Explosive Trap Claw. Blocks the enemy first spell that hits the wearer, so that's pretty basic. Then teleports them to the spell's caster and causes both units to start targeting each other. They deal 20% increased damage to each other. Alright, this is a very nice mechanic. Explosive Zephyr. When combat begins, the wearer summons a whirlwind that are opposite side, removes the closest enemy from combat, and the wearer also banishes themselves for 3 seconds. So you can Zephyr an opponent unit, a very strong unit. So you should put this Zephyr, the Evil Zephyr, the Explosive Zephyr, on one of the units that you're not like using too much, and that unit will be Zephyred as well for 3 seconds. Next is the Final Whisper. So it was Last Whisper and now Final Whisper. When the wearer inflicts a critical hit to target's armor, magic resist is reduced by 70% for 2 seconds. The wearer's armor and magic resist are also permanently reduced by 70%. That's pretty stupid. Force of Darkness. Oh yeah, I almost forgot to tell you about this, guys. There is now a new force of nature. So we have the standard force of nature and we have the force of darkness, which can be made with 2 types of spatulas, the normal spatula and the evil spatula. And this force of darkness will give you 2 maximum team sizes, but the player's little legend takes 100% extra damage. So you have double the damage. You take double the damage if you have this force of nature, but you will gain 2 extra spots. So you will not lose, this will be super advantageous if you never lose a fight, but if you lose at least 1 or 2 fights, you will start feeling the pain and you will start losing a bunch of HP. So you need to be already strong and already have a stable comp, and you add to that comp 2 maximum units, and make sure those units really strengthen your comp, and make sure you don't lose again. So you can take full advantage of the force of darkness. Next is the Frozen Dark Heart. So all enemies with 2 hexes have their attack speed reduced by 50%. Allies within 1 hex have their attack speed reduced by 50%. So this affects everyone. This does not affect the wearer. Each Frozen Heart increases the radius. Alright. Guardian Fallen Angel prevents the wearer's first death, placing them in status instead, or status. After 2 seconds, they return with 100% health and shed all negative effects. After this effect trigger, the wearer attacks speed is reduced by 50%. Okay, next is Guinsu's Evil Rageblade. Basic attacks grant 8% bonus attack speed for the rest of combat, but the wearer is dealt 2% of their maximum health each attack. The bonus attack speed can stack any number of times. So basically you are losing a 2% HP per attack, but you are gaining 8% attack speed per attack, which is insane, and this stacks a lot, but you will be losing a lot of HP, so you need an item that makes sure that you always regain HP to stay alive. Next is the Hand of Vengeance. Instead of Justice, the holder begins combat with 2 buffs, plus 40 attack damage and plus 40 ability power and spell bam. For them each takedown. If the holder has these buffs, they lose them. If they do not, they get both buffs again. Okay? Next is the Ionic Dark Spark. Enemies and allies within 2 hexes are zapped when they cast an ability, taking magic damage scaling with their max mana. Enemies take 200% of their max mana, and allies take 100% of their max mana. Whenever an ally or enemy is zapped, the wearer gains 5 ability power for the rest of combat. Alright, pretty nifty. Next is Lack of Redemption. The wearer radiates an aura to all allies on the board and heals them for 15% of their missing health every 5 seconds. Each time this happens, the wearer damages themselves for 10% of their current extra damage. Alright, so this is the cost benefit for this item. Locket of the Dark Solari. The wearer and all allies within 2 hexes take 20% reduced damage but gain 5 less mana per attack. I don't think people are gonna build this. More Evil Lanomicon. When the holder deals magic damage with their spell, the spell deals 50% less damage, but they burn the target, dealing 100% of the target's maximum health as true damage over 25 seconds and reducing healing by 50% for the duration of the burn. Next is Poisoned Gauntlet. The holder spell can inflict critical hit, gain 40% critical hit and critical chance, but when the wearer casts, they lose 20% of their maximum health. Rabadon's Cursed Death Cap. The holder gains 125 additional spell power. The holder receives a penalty of minus 25 max health, so that's insane. The Rapid Death Cannon. Okay. The holder gains plus 3 hex attack range for 2 attacks. Takedowns refresh this bonus. The holder's basic attack no longer miss. Alright, pretty dope. The Rick Thirster. Basic attack heals the holder for 40% of the damage dealt. The holder takes 25% of their maximum health and true damage at the beginning of combat. Excuse me. Each time the holder heals for 90% health, they gain 40% attack damage, attack speed for 3 seconds. This does not stack. Next is Runan Evil's Hurricane. Basic attack fire bolts at 2 nearby enemies, dealing 60% of the wearer's attack damage. These bolts can critically strike but do not apply on hit effect. Okay, for the last 6 items, it's gonna be Titan's Explosive Resolve. Whenever the wearer takes damage, they gain a stack of explosive power for each point of pre-mitigated damage taken. This effect can stack any number of times. When the wearer dies, they explode, dealing true damage equal to 20% of their explosive power to all enemies with 1 hex. Okay. The next one is the Very Dark Blue buff. After casting their spell, the wearer mana is set to 10. If the wearer has less than 50% health, this is increased to 40. Okay. Next is the Villain's Bramble Vest or Bramble Vest. Negates bonus damage from incoming critical hits and reduces the base damage of those attacks by 30%. On being hit by a basic attack, deal 80, 100, 150 magic damage to all nearby enemies once every 2.5 seconds. The wearer also deals this magic damage to themselves. So you better put some magic resist on you, or have some magic resist traits. Next is the Warmog's Poison Armor. Grants 1500 bonus health including opponents, but the wearer loses 100 health each second. So that's 15 seconds of extra 15% bonus health. Alright, very cool. The next one is Zeke's Evil Herald. When combat starts, the wearer and all allies within 1 hex in the same row gain plus 30% attack speed for the rest of combat. Cursed mod, instead steal up to 40% attack speed from nearby allies and give it to the wearer. Alright. The last new item, the shadow item, is gonna be Z0 Dark Portal. When the wearer dies, a construct with 500 health arises to continue the fight. When it dies, it deals 777 true damage to enemies within 1 hex. Pretty cool. And finally, we have the cheat sheet right here. So we're gonna check that out. So I'll leave a link in the description below for this cheat sheet, guys. As you can see, it shows all the origins, all the new origins and the classes, and even the icons and the cost for the new unit. You got the Abomination Coven, Dawnbringer, Draconic, Dragonslayer, Eternal Forgotten, Hellion, Ironclad, Nightbringer, Redeemed, Revenant, Verdant. And the class we have the Assassin, Brawler, Caretaker, Cavalier, Cruel for Timo, Gutking for Darius and Karen, Invoker, Knight, Legionnaire, Mystic, Ranger, Renewer, Skirmisher, and finally Spellweaver. So yeah, this explains everything. You should have this by your side if you are new to the game, or you are not used to the new comps and you want like a clearer guide. And yeah, that's it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. This took so long to speak about. I'm not used to commenting on such a long patch. Yeah, I really hope you guys like it. If you did, make sure to subscribe, do all the cool YouTube stuff. It really helps. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here. Thank you for enjoying my content. And I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.